Welcome to the Healthpreneur Podcast. My name is Uriel Kame, New York Times bestselling author, former professional athlete, and founder of Healthpreneur, the world's leading company helping health and fitness experts start and scale high-end coaching businesses. If you want to attract more clients, learn how to convert them without feeling salesy, and deliver an amazing program for them on the back end, if you want to be inspired by what others just like you have gone through and how you can do the same no matter what life throws your way, then you are in the right place, because every single week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to be bringing you the best to help you take your knowledge and expertise to the next level with your health or fitness coaching business. And if you enjoy what you see and hear and would like to take your business to the next level, then I invite you to check out our free online training over at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. And for now, let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Yuri with you. Super excited to have another special guest on today's show. Her name is Megan Milne. And again, as always, we're going to go deep into what Megan needs help with most in her business right now. So Megan, welcome to the podcast. And can you tell our listeners and viewers a bit more about who you are? And we'll take it from there.
Hello, I'm Megan. Online, I go by Dr. Megan. I'm the prednisone pharmacist. So I'm not your typical person on this show because I'm a pharmacist. I'm not sure if anyone else has ever been a pharmacist on here before, but I recently launched my business helping people struggling with side effects from prednisone. And I'm hoping to find the perfect client and find the best way to help those people.
Awesome. All right. So over the next 25 minutes or so, we want to kind of narrow in and dial in on that perfect client. Would that make the most sense for you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I just want to make sure that you can see this blank screen thingamajig on your screen there. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to draw some stuff out and we'll map this out. Okay. So prednisone is, I only know prednisone from my dogs having to use that a couple of years ago from a back surgery. So for all of our listeners and viewers, it's a type of corticosteroid that reduces inflammation. Is that right? Or
yes, exactly. It is used for lots of different health conditions, and it is a miracle, but it's also miserable for people to take it because it has so many side effects.
Okay, cool. So who would, so when we look at your perfect client, so as you probably know, and all of our viewers and listeners know, it's really like the most important first starting point for any business is to narrow down on a single target market, right? So if we look at the entire world as being this big circle, we want to narrow down right into the middle there, because when you do that, you obviously speak to them in a much more specific fashion. They feel understood and heard, and that improves the whole process from there on forth. So who would be using prednisone? Like, just give me some examples of people that might be on prednisone.
So a lot of people are taking prednisone for rheumatoid arthritis. That's one of the main conditions. And then pretty much any other inflammatory condition, reactive condition, transplants. Like, what's amazing about prednisone is how many things it can help. But that's also the hardest part about me finding my perfect client, is because I don't know how to reach them all through marketing or through messaging or advertising. That's my hardest thing.
Sure. Okay. So it could be rheumatoid arthritis. It could be colitis even. It could be like anything that has inflammation involved in that.
Yeah.
So someone's on prednisone, and let's just use rheumatoid arthritis as an example. So someone who has rheumatoid arthritis, they've been prescribed prednisone from the doctor. Are they, and not every one of them, but probably a good majority of them, are probably thinking to themselves, what? Like, I don't want to be on this medication, or there's got to be a safer, more natural way, or what is the conversation happening in their mind?
Yeah, I think pretty much everyone on prednisone wishes they didn't have to be on it. It's just a really great Band-Aid to get you through your pain, through your immediate concern of what could be killing you, but it's miserable to be taking it.
All right, so let's do this. So it's really important, when we look at, there's three components to conversions, marketing, however you want to think of it. I've talked about this numerous times on the show, so I'm just going to really quickly recap. I call this the triad of influence. Number one is the market. Second is message. And third is magic, which is essentially your offer. So here we're really going to be spending our time talking about the market, right? Because the market, you can't craft a message unless you know who you're speaking to. So just a bit of context for everyone and for yourself. So if we look, and so part of the market, we look at, there's three activators on our market. One of them is a single target market who knows that they have a major pain or problem. So they have to be aware of that, right? So the person's aware that they have rheumatoid arthritis in this example, and they understand that. Now, what are the frustrations? So frustrations are things that people are experiencing now, like the things that keep them up at night, the things that they're top of mind worried about. What are those frustrations? Let's list like three of them.
Okay, so first is, you mentioned keeping you up at night. This drug definitely causes insomnia for a lot of people. That's the number one tweeted side effect.
Okay, what else?
And weight gain. It is probably one of the top drugs that makes you gain weight.
And let's do one more.
And it changes your personality. It interferes with your ability to say no. In your brain, that spot where you can say, oh, I won't eat that cookie because I want to not gain weight. It's interfering with their ability to, like, their executive functioning.
Okay, so frustration is something that's currently happening. If those frustrations continue, they turn into fears, right? And fears are kind of the culmination of those frustrations over time. So what are those frustrations? If we look at one or two fears that, let's say 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, could become a reality as a result of these frustrations, what might those be?
Let's see. So obviously, I could have started with the frustrations is the hunger cravings, and then the fears would be excessive weight gain and not being able to lose it, because not only is the drug making you gain weight, but with your health condition, you're struggling to be able to exercise or have the energy to cook healthfully.
Sure. And so excessive weight gain, what does that mean for these people? Like what's the problem or fear around that?
The social implications, or it worsening their condition, because if you're having joint problems and you have more weight, then that is more pain. So that, and then this drug is also the number one cause of osteoporosis. And so that wasn't on the frustrations because you can't feel it. You can't feel the bone loss. It just happens, and suddenly you're going to break your bones and shrink your spine and be shorter and pain, all that.
That's always good, right? Not good at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so so it's almost like birth control, right? Not birth control.
Yeah.
I was thinking of oh my goodness, hormone replacement therapy, HRT, right? Yeah. So for some women, obviously it might be beneficial, but if they've got a history of breast cancer issues in the family, then it becomes, and obviously it's related to preventing osteoporosis or whatever. So there's all sorts of things tied in with this stuff. Okay. So what we're essentially doing here is we're mapping out the profile of this avatar. Now I want to just kind of take a step back for a second, because really singling out a single target market comes down to really a couple simple questions. Number one is, do they have a major pain or problem? The answer to this obviously is yes in this case, right? Number two is, are they aware of it? Yeah. Number three, who can you help to the greatest degree? So if you, like, let's say I were to say to you, Megan, okay, if I give you 10 clients, 100 clients, however many clients with this condition, if you cannot give them a breakthrough transformation, you will be beheaded. So with that kind of thinking, who would be the best client for you to work with? Like what condition, or does it matter?
Yeah, I think it does matter because some conditions, they're stuck in bed. They can't do anything. So their ability to act on any of my advice is limited.
Okay.
So it would have to be somebody with a less impairing condition, but I mean, it's obviously bad enough that they have to take this drug.
Yeah.
So I guess that really does help me clarify. I want the healthiest sick people.
Yeah, and it's a catch-22 because wherever there's pain and urgency, there's usually going to be higher conversion, so a higher degree of action. If someone has a bruise, no big deal. If they have a broken leg, we're taking action on that right away, right?
Right.
So, but it's also, as you mentioned, it's important to think about this person needs to be in a certain degree of pain or have a problem that's serious enough for them to act on, but they also have to have the wherewithal to act on it. And not everyone
Yeah.
is, right? So with that said, so if we looked at like fibromyalgia, would that be another category of people?
They don't usually get desperate enough to go on prednisone, and I don't even know if it would help necessarily fibromyalgia. But that's the right strategy, I think, is people who have something really limiting but isn't keeping them in bed. So
like rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah, asthma, COPD, like those breathing problems, and then lots of kidney problems. So they're not like dying in bed, but their kidneys are going to fail if they don't take this.
Well, I've got asthma. I actually just went to my doctor yesterday to get a renewal on my prescription because during the summer, especially now, there's more construction around our area. I've noticed that my asthma is a little bit worse than it used to be. I don't really use my puffer that much, but just as a nice to have. But it's funny because I asked my doctor, I'm like, other than a puffer, like what other natural means are there to improve lung function? And she's like, honestly, like other than avoiding smoke and stuff, there's not much you can do. Thankfully, I was never on prednisone, but if I were, I would definitely be seeking it. Like even if I'm on a Ventolin, I'm already thinking about like what can I do to not have to be on that. So avoiding irritants and so forth. Anyways, so the key here is really like you could be working with any of these people, right? RA, asthma, COPD, colitis, and honestly, what it comes down to is just choosing one.
Okay.
Right. That's as simple as it needs to be. It's if you know you can help them, that's very important. And then second is who obviously can you get the best result for? Who will you enjoy working with? And then it's just a matter of like choosing one. So a really simple way of doing this. So if we took rheumatoid arthritis, well, let me ask you, off the top of your head, if we were to say, so let's just kind of use three categories. So three possible clients, which would be the conditions? And then I'll just show you how to choose them.
Okay. So rheumatoid arthritis, obviously, would be a good choice. And then so I never made this clarification. The reason I care so much about this is not just because I'm a pharmacist. It's also because I had to take it and it was awful. Sure. And so I had to take it for a bleeding disorder called ITP. So I think that would be the next one for me.
That's a breathing disorder, you said?
Bleeding as in blood.
Okay, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. And then probably, after this, it's really hard to choose because there's so many. And
should we just
probably
lupus?
Lupus.
Okay. So let's start with this. So how many people, like prevalence wise, have ITP? Like, is it fairly common or?
It's pretty rare. It's like one in 10,000.
Okay. And if someone has it, they're aware that they have it?
Yeah.
Okay. So lupus, is it more common, less common?
I'm actually not sure of the prevalence of lupus, but I would assume it's more common than ITP.
Okay. And then rheumatoid arthritis probably is more common than both
the
those
most
combined.
Common.
Yeah. So part of this is, like no matter who you want to serve, you can certainly find them, right? So part of the thinking here is that if you wanted to, and we strongly recommend using Facebook because Facebook has 1 billion users, and I promise you a few of them will have any of these conditions. So the opportunity is, let's say Facebook has 1 billion people on the platform. You're going to put a message in front of a general population, and you're going to have to somehow have them raise their hand like, yes, I have this condition. And that becomes a little bit tricky in terms of, have you run Facebook ads before, Megan?
Yeah, I started a page about in February, and I've been running just my organic stuff. I boost it. And so that's most of my experience. So
Okay.
I haven't created things just to be an ad necessarily.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, the good news is like we have clients who target RA, right? So they work with rheumatoid arthritis patients, and you would, for instance, say, I'm going to send out, is it typically men or women that have RA, or is it pretty much doesn't matter?
Almost all of these conditions are prevalently women.
Okay. So what you would do in this case is you would say, I'm going to target, let's just use the example of RA. I'm going to set up an ad with a very specific message that talks very specifically about rheumatoid arthritis. It's going to be shown to women between like 40 and 65, maybe? Is that typically the age? So women in the US or Canada, 40 to 65, who have, well, we don't know. They're not going to say, like, Facebook doesn't have the data on people who have rheumatoid arthritis, right? So that's where you have to be, you have to know how to do things properly here, because you're putting a message in front of women, generally 40 to 65, and then you're using the message to get them to raise their hand.
Oh, okay. Right? So there's not a great way within Facebook to like limit it to just people with RA, but you can,
because there's no pages. Like, if you think of people with rheumatoid arthritis, what are they going to like? What are they going to be interested in, right? What types of celebrities or authorities might they be following? What brands are they frequenting? What types of products are they consuming? There's ways of finding those audiences, but it's not like if for our ads will say, show this ad to people who have chiropractic as a job title, as an example. But Facebook doesn't say there are 1,000 people who are interested in rheumatoid arthritis, right? There's no pages unless there's an association, like there's, the American Diabetes Association, like people who have diabetes are more likely to possibly like that page.
Yeah.
So there might be something like that for lupus or RA, et cetera. So those are some of the ways you can find these people on Facebook. But the key is, the only way to find those people is, again, narrowing down your message to such a point where the person's going through their news feed and they're like, wow, how does this person know that's exactly what she just said there is exactly what I'm experiencing, right? And now they have a message that's put in front of them that speaks to them. It's very empathetic in the sense that they feel understood. And now that's how you get them to kind of, come into your world and take the next step with you. So the reason we look at these, possibilities here is, could you find people with ITP? 100%. Could you find people with lupus? 100%. Could you find people with RA or colitis or anything else? 100%. Do we know what that's going to cost you to acquire a lead or a client? We don't know until you actually start running this stuff. So I think anytime you have a personal story related to a condition, that's helpful, right? If you've gone through ITP, there's obviously a very strong bond there or connection. And that's obviously a lot easier to share a story around. Even if you don't have RA, you can talk about how you've had clients who've helped with that, or how you had ITP, which is very similar to other conditions. So really what it comes down to is you just say, okay, put a red on one of these three. Like, if I were to say, okay, we're going to just nix out one of these three based on just what we've talked about so far, which one would you say, let's just get rid of?
Well, with prednisone, people might be on it a long time, or they might be on it on a short time. Like people with asthma, it's usually like 4 to 6 weeks or something, and then they're done. And so that's more likely with ITP that it's a short-term thing. And so I might not catch them in time, right?
Okay.
Like,
so we'll put
really make an impact.
Okay. So we'll put a red on ITP. So between lupus and RA, is there any kind of emotional charge that you feel more pulled towards?
I think I'm more pulled towards RA. I've got family members with it, so it means more to me.
So that's it. I mean, worst case scenario, here's what you do. You take out the one that you know is not going to make sense and you flip a coin with the other two, right?
Mm-hmm.
Assuming everything else is equal. You can help them, you can find them, etc. And that's just like, it's as simple as that. It's like you say, I am going to be the person, the expert who helps people with RA get off prednisone so that they can achieve a healthier outcome without the side effects, etc.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel to you?
That feels empowering. I feel like I know I was floundering, like, how do I target everyone? And I don't need to target everyone. I can just target one
Yeah,
person.
exactly. And I can promise you, you could build a multiple $1 million coaching business just with rheumatoid arthritis. And you'll actually have a
Mm-hmm.
better chance of doing so than if you try to be everyone, like everything to everyone,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, the other way you could do this, and I'm not going to suggest that you do this, but sometimes, depending on the size of the market, you could say, I am like kind of your introduction, like you help people who are on prednisone get off prednisone. So the
Mm-hmm.
target market could be the fact that anyone who's on this medication could be the target market. But
Okay.
what we're doing here is we're going one level deeper. We're saying, if you have
Ah.
rheumatoid arthritis and you're on this medication, or you're likely on this medication,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is going to be more powerful because now you're speaking not just to the fact that they're on the medication, but you're specific to the condition,
Yeah.
right? So the beautiful thing about this is that you can very quickly become the mayor of this town. Like you can be the dominant player or authority for people with rheumatoid arthritis who are on prednisone, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted eventually down the road, you can always go one step up. So what I've noticed a lot in the coaching space, in the business coaching space, is there are people who, I'll just talk about the health and wellness space. They start off as a health and wellness business coach, and then they find it easier for some reason to help. They're like, you know what? I'm tired of serving health and wellness people because of X, Y, and Z. I know that my stuff can also help other businesses. So they move
Mm-hmm.
from just helping health and wellness now to anyone with a business, and ideally business coaches, because in their mind, they think that maybe they have more money or they can get more ROI. So they move from being very specific to a level higher where there's more of an audience. And I don't always think that's the best choice. But I think in your case, the long play would actually make sense is you start off as RA prednisone, you
Uh-huh.
become the authority in that space. And if you ever wanted to scale beyond that, it becomes the next logical step to become the prednisone expert, not just in RA now, but also in lupus, also in colitis, also in this other stuff, because people know you as the person who just helps people on prednisone. But that's more of a long-term play. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Cool.
Master the art of the RA part of it and then expand.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, think of if you're drilling for oil, you would start off with one oil well. You get that going, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's chugging oil. It's doing its thing. You have it working, systemized. Everything's great. And you're like, you know what? Now I want to serve a slightly different market, but related. Now you have that all systemized. It's doing its thing. You can stay there, or you can open up another oil well and start drilling there as well. But it's important that you have that foundation initially in that one target market, and then it becomes easier to expand over time.
That makes sense.
Is that helpful?
Mm-hmm.
So what have you found most useful from our discussion here?
I've definitely found the clarity has been the most important thing, just really ruling things out, that
Yeah.
it's okay to cut out. I mean, prednisone can be used for over 100 different conditions, and it's okay that I'm not talking to the 99. I'm talking to the one.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And that's one of the biggest challenges that people in our space have, is that we want to help everyone, right? Because you probably
Yeah.
can help a lot of different people, but it doesn't mean you should. And that's one of the biggest messages I want all of our listeners and viewers to remember, is that, like, as a health or fitness wellness expert, just because you have amazing protocols that can help a lot of different people doesn't mean you should. And it becomes very challenging to market your business, especially online, if you're the generalist. And it's
Mm-hmm.
very, very challenging to do so. So go specific. The riches are in the niches, as they say. So Megan, what is going to be your first action step based on our conversation here?
I think I'm going to like I've already got a lot of training as far as rheumatoid arthritis goes, but I think I'm going to jump into the rheumatoid arthritis support groups and just get to know them, just find out really who they are and what their needs are, so that I understand prednisone, but I've never had RA. So how does that feel?
Yeah, that's a really good move. And honestly, your marketing, everything in your marketing comes down to these 4 boxes: wants, aspirations, frustrations, and fears. If you see the conversations happening and you understand these people and you say, okay, well, like this is a frustration these people are dealing with, that becomes the foundation of your marketing. Everything becomes so much easier when you can communicate, listen, I understand what it's like to not be able to sleep anymore. Like, what that does to you, and it compromises your ability to work or function or whatever those things are. Just take notes of those wants and aspirations. So wants are things, so a frustration is basically the flip of a want. So if they're dealing with insomnia or weight gain, what is the thing that they want now as they're dealing with that frustration? So they want to sleep better, for instance, right? That would be a want. That would be the opposite of insomnia. And this is really the starting place. So once you've identified your perfect client or your single target market, this is the foundation of everything else you do, because you should not, I don't think any business has the right to put anything out there until they deeply understand these 4 boxes. But when you do understand them, you'll have people saying to themselves, Megan is in my head. Like, she knows exactly what I'm going through. And when that happens, you basically create a category of 1 and you have nothing to worry about. So yeah, I think that's awesome. Cool. So I would just troll the groups, see what's going on, see what people are saying, and just start to fill in the wants, aspirations, frustrations, and fears. And then everything from the messaging standpoint down here starts to come into play with a lot of that kindling for your marketing fire. So is that good?
That was very helpful.
Awesome. Well, Megan, thanks so much for your time. This is always a lot of fun for me because I really have no idea what's going to happen. But it's always, it's always fun to give you more clarity and direction to move forward out of this. If you guys are watching, listening to this, if you've enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe to the podcast over on iTunes. And thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Healthpreneur Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, here's what I'd like you to do right now. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Healthpreneur Podcast on iTunes. And while you're there, leave us a rating or review. It helps us get in front of more people and change more lives. And if you're ready to start or scale your health or fitness coaching business and want to start getting in front of more people, working with them at a higher level without trading time for money, then I invite you to check out our free 7-figure health business blueprint training, totally free right now. And you can do so at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. For now, thank you so much for joining us. Continue to be great, do great, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.